And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. It is Heritage Day, people, and welcome to our Heritage Day stream. We've got lots to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Boks team mostly, as well as the URC coming up, having a look at some of the fixtures, having a look at what's also developing. We're going to have our official URC preview coming out tomorrow, having a look at a particular focus for the South African teams, and we will also have profiles of the four specific South African teams, dedicated profiles in terms of the business they have done, bringing players in, getting players out, kind of how the squad is shaping up, a brand new coach for the Bulls in the form of Johan Ackerman, and lots of new players for the likes of Stormers, for example, in particular, who have recruited very, very well in the off season. And then obviously we have a team announcement from yesterday. Rassie Erasmus making just a couple of changes to his starting lineup, a few changes to the overall 23. And we're going to have a look at how we did yesterday with our My Picks prediction. We're going to look at the scoring, for example, because we got 24 points out of a possible 32. So, yeah, work to be done. Work to be done there. And we've got 12 correct players in their correct positions, in fairness, but did get 3 wrong. So we'll look at what happened there. And I want to know if you guys did your predictions yesterday, how you guys did. And, yeah, I actually it didn't end up submitting a prediction because things got away to yesterday, so I need to go see what you guys did. And then we're going to have a look at a little bit at some of the leagues that we have created on mypicks.app, which is the official platform that we are launching to try and really up the engagement and give you guys a tool to make watching games, getting involved in the game a little bit more exciting. It's also the tool we use to do player ratings and the likes of that. And we can do player ratings for absolutely any game of the URC, for example. You can go rate the players, rate the Sharks players, all that kind of vibes as well. So very excited to see if we can get people to start going and rate, like Stormers supporters clubs, for example, can go rate the Stormers players after their games and the likes over there. So people, we've got a poll running in the comments asking, will the Springboks get a bonus point win versus Argentina? Go and vote in that poll. Let me know how you're feeling about it. Let me know how confident we are about the game against Argentina on Saturday. And tomorrow we'll start getting some early score predictions in. You know, we'll actually bring up the match day tab on my picks and have a look at exactly what some of the score predictions are going to be. Let's have a look at the team, shall we? And actually, before we go to that, if you, by the way, were part of the stream on yesterday morning, we predicted our Springbok team for the game against Argentina. And we basically, what happened is we put up all the players in polls, we voted for every single player, and we basically formulated our 15 from that. Of that 15, we got 12 players right, 12 in the correct positions as well, for a total of 24 points. Basically, how the scoring works is you get a point per correct player, a point if they're in the right correct, position, as well as a perfect 15 bonus point. Now, somebody allegedly got all of those, so we're still waiting to confirm if that is the case. And they did get 32 out of 32. I'll be very impressed if they got the Moy van den Berg selection, for example, which is one of the more difficult ones to do. But basically, this is how the scoring works. So you can see over there, we got Oxenchair right, we got Malcolm Marks wrong. Right, the ones we got wrong were Thomas the Toy. We predicted Grant Williams and Kubas Rana starting, and we predicted Andre Esterhuizen to start, and it is Damien Delendi. So you can see that's where how the whole sort of scoring system works. So come Monday next week, I want to see I want to have over 100 people predicting this this team for Argentina. And then in November, we're going to have a lot of fun with this. And we're busy working on some big prize money for somebody who does predict, you know, 15 out of 50, and does get that bonus point. So those are some of the things that are coming up over there with regards to my picks. So right now, go and create a profile on my picks. Let me know if you've joined our leagues, for example, and get involved. Get involved, because this is, as mentioned yesterday, this is a platform we've developed to really broaden your experience with the channel. And I'm really excited to see how we can continue building all of this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, so people, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you'd like to get a little animation like this that was Sean Johnson yesterday, please do become a member. It is the pinned comment in the chat. And if you'd like to feature in Rassie's Coach's Corner, please do consider sending a super chat. Big shout out to everybody that has over the last few weeks. It's actually been our best month ever for super chats, which is because you guys have been really getting involved and supporting the channel, and really do appreciate all of that. Let's have a look at the team, shall we? And how it is shaping up, because it's a pretty predictable team in terms of staying with consistency. And I think that's a very, very positive thing. we've tried a lot of things over the past few months with regards to team selections, and at times they've actually criticized Rusty and his coaches for not being consistent enough, for having all these different teams all the time, and not backing players who have played well in the next game and the likes of that, and maybe making too much rotation in the name of building depth. And I think that there's always that balance, isn't it? It's always that balance between building depth and too much experimentation. And I think that's where it's a very tricky balance. And it's difficult to say if you've got it right or wrong until you kind of get to the end of the year and look back to the season as a whole. I think in general we've done it reasonably well. I think maybe we could have put a better side out for that first test against the All Blacks with a couple of players who I think could have made a big difference. I don't think necessarily we got it completely wrong, but I do think there could have been a couple of changes to that first side at Eden Park, which might have made a big difference. And I think what we saw in the second test is that there are certain players who are very hungry to contribute, that are in great form, and you've got to keep playing them to a certain degree. You've got to keep riding the wave of form, because form is temporary. Class is permanent, form is temporary. So, for example, like something like Kane Moody, he's playing really well in the number 13 jersey. Now, he's also struggled in the last year in that number 13 jersey. He's also struggled on wing, but he's now in a bit of a confidence phase, and you've got to give him those games while he's playing well to keep building that kind of momentum. Same as Damien Willemse after a man-of-the-match performance. And I think he was always going to, but you've got to play him in the next game. You've got to ride that form that he's getting back into and get him back to playing some of his best rugby. Good morning, Mikey Larry. Welcome to the chat, and as I said, please do continue to vote on the poll here, people. Interesting that less than 90% of people reckon that we're going to get a bonus point win against Argentina, so there is a reasonably large proportion that reckons that we might not be able to pull it off. But let's have a look at this team, shall we? So I think it's a great team. And I think the question we're asking is, how close is this to our strongest 23? And I think it's relatively close, to be honest. I think it's a lot closer than we might actually genuinely think. I think that players that come in here, if everybody is fit, is Frans Beherbe in the number 3 jersey, but I think Wilco off the bench remains. I think that is the only change that I'd make to this pack to make it our strongest pack right now. I think Ruan Nokia has proved that he is in our strongest starting 8, And I think that Jasper Wiese proved as well that he's our number 8 man. There is room for Cameron Hanekom maybe down the line to really push him and potentially vie for that spot. But I think right now, Jasper Wiese has that jersey on lockdown. If we look at the back line, I think Damien Willemse for me still remains our first choice 15. To be honest, and that's nothing against Apple Fassi. I just think Damien Willemse has a higher threshold. And I think if they both played to their best of abilities, I think Damien Willemse is a better player. I think that we probably go Kurtley Arendse in the number 11 or in the number 14 and move Shez and Colby. So at the moment, we've got Frans Beherbe, who probably gets into that starting 15 if this was like a World Cup final. We've only got Kurtley Arendse, who probably goes into that number 11 jersey. You probably go Creel right now, but I think there's a big case for Kane Moody the way he's playing. So I'm going to go 2.5 at the moment. 19 combination. I tell you what, if you want Grant Williams coming off the bench, I think Kobus Reinach is probably our locked-on starter right now. And then it's a big question mark at 10, isn't it? I think World Cup final, you probably have Pollard, but with the way we're trying to play, I do think they are trying to make sure, trying to get Sash to be our number 1. So I think we are about 3 to 4 players off what would be our best 15 we could put out in a World Cup final situation. In terms of the bench, I think that in a year's time, I think that Jan Vessels could genuinely be our bomb squad hooker. Maybe Marnus van der Merwe makes a bit of a push, but I think he could generally be our bomb squad hooker. So I'm not necessarily saying that Bongi is our strongest there. So I think Jan Vessels is potentially there. Bowen Venter would probably drop out for Gerard Steenekamp. So that's one change you'd probably make. I think Wilco Low would remain. I think Arke Snyman would remain. I think Kwaka Smith would remain. I think you'd probably have a Grant Williams in for Morne van der Berg. And then you'd probably have a Andre Pollard as an insurance policy if you are going to back Sash ahead of Amari Liebach. Although having said that, the way Amari Liebach played at Wellington, that could also change. My point is, on the 23, I think we are about 5 players, question marks, away from what potentially could be our strongest team we can put out. And that's exciting because it means that our Project 2027 World Cup is really starting to take shape. We're really starting to identify and understand which players make our best side, which players are going to be involved, and which players we need to start giving game time, and combinations we need to start building the likes of that. K3S says, happy Bride Day from Edinburgh. Durban has not always been a happy place for the Boks, but if this team is going to be compared with the great All Blacks teams, we need to believe the boys can get the W and bonus points. Completely spot on, as always, K3A, one of our Forever Sports members and one of our constants in the chat. It is Bride Day. And how are you celebrating Bride Day? Because I am going to back-to-back brides. How's that? I might be the Heritage Day GOAT, because I'm going from one bride to another bride. And I hope they've coordinated, because I need to have different selections at these different brides. I need to have different bride rookies at the different brides. I need to have a different meat selection. I need different start selections. I need to whack it all. You know, we've got to make sure that the potato bakers are operating at one, and maybe a potato salad or something at the other. The salads need to be slightly different, you know. I need to have different meat options. So, yeah, I hope they've coordinated. But, Joe, the Heritage Day GOAT is going to be tucking into a lot of bride place today, which is going to be a lot of fun. So let me know how you guys are celebrating Bride Day down in the comments. Let me know if the beers... It's just a miserable day in Joburg is the only problem. It's not a particularly nice day for Bride Day. It's just, you know, the weather just can never play ball, can it? Absolutely ridiculous. Bride Day, and it comes out with this crappy weather. I mean, it's... Hopefully it'll burn away a little bit later, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be overcast. And in fact, we're supposed to even have rain potentially today and tomorrow. So, not ideal. But how are you guys spending Bride Day? Let me know in the comments below, and keep voting on that poll. As I said, if you'd like to feature in the Rusty's Coaches Corner, please do consider sending a super chat. And if you'd like to become a member, it is the pinned comment over there. In terms of the selection, in terms of what excites me, I think the Damien Day-Lindy, Kane and Moody selection as a combination is an interesting one. And I think that it'll be very interesting to sort of see moving forward how much we sort of tweak our centers versus how much we kind of stick to combinations. You know, like for example, Damien Day-Lindy and JC Kriel are a pretty locked on combination. They understand each other. They're the most capped Springbok center pairing ever. But now we've got new faces in the forms of a Kane and Moody. I think Andre Esterhuizen's got a much bigger role than he did a couple of years ago because he's just playing so well. So you got to try and bring him in. And then Damian Williams has also made a genuine push for that centre position with the way he performed at Wellington before he went to move full back. So there's a lot going on in the centres at the moment. I also think that Ethan Hooker has another opportunity to start really cementing himself. You know, I think it was always interesting that they kept him in all these different squads, but he wasn't getting game time. And then all of a sudden gets back to start against the All Blacks. And I don't know if that was basically a ploy by Rassie Erasmus to sort of not give him enough information and then release a player that is maybe a bit of an unknown factor, and it really did pay out because he played tremendously well. But you've also got players like an Abel van der Merwe, for example, and all of a sudden he's been pushed aside to accommodate a Ethan Hooker, and that's an interesting move in itself. So I think that, other big selections, Eben Etzebeth, Ruud Nokia, I think that's probably our strongest lock combination right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to basically keep developing and what the other replacements are going to be, other lock combinations could be. And I think that we might start seeing, a Lourdes Diago Arcus Neyman combination maybe moving forward. And we might see a Arcus Neyman Frank and Wosters combination. Are we going to see Salman Ruud come back into the mix at a time? But yeah, so Mikey Larry says, raining here in PE as well, but we're going to bri. You have to bri. K3A says, it's 6 degrees here at the moment, 16 degrees later, but the sun is out and it's not predicted to rain. Who knows? It's Scotland. And Dorian says, great weather for Bride Day here in Cape Town. Well, there we go. At least Cape Town's enjoying the weather. Boks by 20 says SVG. And Varda says, nice quiet day at work here in Zim today with SA being on holiday. Yeah, well, have a beer for the SA lads. And enjoy Heritage Day, people. I mean, it is... Heritage Day is basically a celebration of what makes South Africa, and that is our diversity. And so it's so appropriate that we're talking about the Springboks on Heritage Day, because it is that diversity, there's different cultures, the different ways of life down in South Africa that makes South Africa so unique. It is the thousands of different official languages we have. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that, National Bride Day has just become such a big thing. And now everyone's flocking out and buying coals and wood and all the different bride flags. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan. Big fan of bride. We're going to have 2 of them today, as mentioned. So, got to buckle up. I need to actually probably go for a run and create a bit more room for some food over there. But yeah, we've got to look at the poll running, and I want to have a look at what you guys have all entered in terms of the leagues. because yesterday we posted all the different My Picks leagues, and I think it was 58 of you guys signed up for My Picks. And there's still room for a lot of people to get involved in the leagues over here. So if we go and have a look at what's cooking over there. Hang on, I need to resize that slightly. There we go. So there's our leagues that we have created so far. And these are public leagues, by the way. So you can go and create any of these, join any of these leagues. So this over here is the SAURC Conference, which is basically only the South African teams. And there is currently, it's actually a bit more than our members, but there's basically 2 leagues to go and join. I'm going to drop the link to it now. And I want you to go and join potentially the SAURC Conference League, which means you only have to predict those 2 scores, as well as the URC League in general, which is the General URC League. If you haven't already, make sure you go and join our Boks Score Rugby Championship League and get involved in the other ones. So you've got lots of different leagues over here, and there's also lots of people who are creating their own leagues, which is really cool. So you can see those are Forever Sports leagues. Then you've got the general leagues, which are My Picks leagues. That's somebody creating their own league, for example. And these are all the public leagues. If you join a private league, it won't show up here. But if you want to join create a public league and get more people involved, then you can. You can. And then you can go to My Leagues and have a look at the leagues there. And we can go look at the URC conference. So basically, this is the URC Conference League. And those are the people involved. You can see there's me. There's me, little Stevie P involved. But this is our community one. And basically, all you got to do is go and predict the scores for the different South African games this weekend. It's that simple. It really is that simple to go and predict all the South African fixtures. So you've got to go predict Stormers versus Leinster, for example, Glasgow versus Sharks, Bulls versus Ospreys, and Cardiff versus the Lions. Make those predictions, lock them in, and see if you can meet. But people, I need to get these leagues up here. We need to get those numbers up. I want to see 100 members in that URC league by the end of the week, and I think we can do it. We're gonna go up to 1,000 members, 1,000 players, and that's because we are Creator Plus. If you have got a basic membership, you've got a cap on your leagues, but you can upgrade. It's a nominal amount as well, so it's really not a lot to get involved in those leagues over there. So people, I need you guys to get involved in My Picks. We, as I said, we had 58 people that signed up. So to answer your question, Mike Larry, I'm actually going to bring up a full screen. I mean, let's go through My Picks and show everybody what they're getting involved in, because I think that it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun. This is My Picks, okay? So basically, go to the dashboard. My Picks is a all-inclusive sort of prediction and rating system, where you can do things like rate players after games, where you can predict scores, and you can predict teams. So, for example, as we saw earlier, we went and predicted our Springbok team, and it scored, and how many points. And you've got leagues for that as well. So you can then go up against your mates and see how well you can try and guess Rassie Erasmus's team. You can do the same thing for URC, for example. We've got the Premiership. We've got lots of different leagues. So these are all the different matches, for example. Then you can also predict the score. And the nice thing is, is that we can go lock in a score. So let's say we need a bonus point win. So let's say we're going to get 31. I want to give Pumas 14 points. We can lock in our picks. Because I'm a premium user, I can actually edit that. And that's the reason we're going to do that. But over here, this is what's really fun, is it shows you that some people haven't really done their predictions. And the average prediction is currently 35 points to 16. 97% of people have predicted a Springboks win, and 3% have predicted a draw, which is quite interesting. So basically over here, you can go and predict the score, and then again, it'll score your predictions, and you've got a whole tab over here, basically, which shows you all the predictions you need to do and what's available and stuff like that. And it also, in your different, some of your things, is it shows you your stats in terms of how your prediction stats always look like. Yeah, we go. Here's a performance overview. So it shows you all your different predictions there, for example. So, for example, using the Forever Sports community profile that we've got, we've made 5 predictions so far. We've earned 39 points. We haven't done player ratings yet. We haven't done any teams yet, but it shows you all those stats as well. And it's got all the different sort of predictions, stuff like that you've made. It's a lot of fun. And basically, for example, if you go to a match day, so let's go to the Bok game on Saturday, there's a whole bunch of different stuff to it. So there's the main tab where you can see we've done our score prediction. We can go and predict the Argentina team as well. So we can go predict that. Over here, it's going to pull through a whole lot of content. So the more content that starts to add, including highlights, for example, of the game itself. And then there's our score prediction. On the day itself, it'll actually create a timeline with all the different stats, all the different match events over here, as well as some of the stats overview. On the day, it'll populate the lineups. So it'll show you what the lineups are for the two different teams. And after the game, it'll populate ratings, where you can basically go to every single one of the players, give them a rating between 1 and 10, and actually, and I'll check it out now, and it's also got stats. But the big thing is, you can actually, for example, for your ratings and your predictions, so let's go and do the Argentina prediction, for example. This is, I think, what I'm really excited about, is you can predict. So what you can actually do over here is you can load the previous team to make things a little bit easier. So now we can kind of give an idea of what the Argentina side looks like, and you can see there, that's the Argentina side. And if you're very happy with that side and you want to sort of lock that in, let's make one change. Let's say Santiago Carreras out and Thomas Albanese in. Okay, cool. So we made one change there. You can then lock in your picks over there, and then you can actually go press share team, and it generates a graphic with your name over here. So this is the Forever Sports Community tab, but it can say Mikey Larry, for example, and they can say your team prediction, your starting 15 that you have predicted. And if you've done your score prediction, it also gives you score prediction over here. And then you can share this. You can download this. You can email this. You can share it with your mates. You can WhatsApp it. And so all your rugby groups, I know a lot of you guys are on rugby groups. That's what I want to see. On your rugby groups, I want to see you guys dropping these predictions, dropping your player ratings. I think that's, for me, it does the exact same thing. So when you do the player ratings, you go back and you can you rate all the different players. And again, you can generate an image which has your rating, what you gave every single player between 1 and 10, as well as the average fan rating, as well as what your man of the match is, and the score. And you can, again, share it in all your different rugby groups, share it in your Super Brew groups and the likes of that. You know, we need to get you guys all on the system because it's so much fun. It's so powerful, and it's going to really up the ante for what we do as Forever Sports. So yeah, I'm really excited to launch it, and we've had a big uptake so far, close on 200 users, despite only having really pushed it once or twice, and we're going to try and get that to 1,000 users by the end of the week. I think we can do it, to be honest, but we need your guys' help. Because at the end of the day, there are 30-odd people watching. If you guys all go sign up, and if you guys all refer 2 people, that's almost 100 people in just today. So if you're not on it, it is mypicks.app, and we need you guys to get involved in it. I'm going to drop some of the tabs to the different leagues over here. So this is the URC League for SA Conference. I'm going to drop that in the comments. And I'm also going to drop the... I think this is the... I'm going to drop the general URC League as well, which is this one, I think. No, it's not. Okay, I'll drop that in a little bit. But basically, yeah. So the first one I've just dropped there, that is the URC League for the SA Conference, which means you're only predicting the South African teams. To make my life a little bit easier. Because I think that's always the biggest problem, isn't it? Sometimes you're a casual fan, and all of a sudden you've been thrown into a URC prediction league, and you've got no idea, nor do you care what the score is between Glasgow and Zebra. Well, you don't have to. These leagues you can actually customize. So when you go and basically create a league, I'll show you. You can go to your leagues over here and create a league, and you can decide what the league name is. So let's say the FS Community, and you can add a description. And then you can decide, do you want to be a score prediction league or a team prediction league? So, for example, if I'm a Lions fan, I can create a league with my Lions fans, and I can make a private thing, and I can select a sport, a competition. So I can go URC, select a season, and then you can actually select a team. So you can go select an individual team, for example, and you can say, right, we're going to do a Lions prediction league. You know, if we go and do a score prediction league, then we can go and decide, do you want to do a all teams league? So do you want to predict scores for all the teams in the United Rugby Championship? Or maybe you just want to do a few, and you can do a Scottish conference. You can do a Ireland conference. You can do just a Lions. You know, you could just do Lions prediction league, for example, if you want to. You could just do a Storms prediction league if you want to. And that for me is a very big thing. So I think there's so many times where you're in all these different leagues and it just becomes too much to do. Whereas, for example, if you're just doing Lions team once a week, that's easy to do. Having to do, predictions for 10 different games, that's more complicated. Now let's have a look at, and I'm going to use my picks to do it as well, because it is URC season, people. It is the kickoff this weekend, and some very interesting fixtures. Very, very interesting fixtures. So let's go have a look, and we're going to use my picks to do it, because we can. Because we can. So these are all the different fixtures. You can see over here, we've got the Prem, which has been loaded, as well as the Rugby Championship. But what you can do is you can filter it. And we can go filter by, where we want, URC. And there we go. Those are your URC fixtures for the weekend. So we've got Stormers versus Leinster kicking us off on Friday. What a game that's going to be. By the way, we will be live for that game this weekend. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what that Stormers side's going to look like. Leinster, we're going to do a bit of a preview, see in terms of the players that they've sent down. Jacques, about having signed a new contract. And then we've also got two other 9 o'clock games. Ulster versus Dragons, Glasgow versus Sharks. So 2 South African sides getting involved and getting their campaigns underway on Friday evening. Saturday, then we've got the Bulls versus Ospreys at 2 o'clock. Zebra versus Edinburgh at 4 o'clock. Scarlets versus Munster, 6:30. And the 2 late games, we've got Connacht versus Benetton, and then my boy Lions playing at 9:15. And I'll tell you what, get off to a winning start, the Lions, because that's the problem. We've always had a slow start to the season, and then I've never been able to catch up. So that's what the URC is looking like for this weekend. Pretty exciting. Only 1 home game for the South African, 2 home games for the South African sides, Bulls at home, as well as the Stormers. I think we'll see a big turnout for the Stormers on Friday night, which should be quite a lot of fun. And I think we'll see a reasonable turnout for the Bulls ahead of the Boks game as well. We will endeavour to try and do this Bulls game as well. People, we're going to wrap up there. Mikey Larry says, anyways, I don't know about you guys, but Argentina looks like a much better team than Aussies, and they play so well. I don't think we should underestimate them at all. Important game for us. Argentina looked like a good side, but their result and at the end of games, it's just not reflecting the way they're playing. And look, maybe it's a matter of time when that will. So I don't think you can underestimate them, but I also think we have to be very honest about the fact that they are there for the taking, as far as I'm concerned. Because they have been buckling. They have been letting down a lot of good results in being in good positions, and they need to get a lot better at doing that. But people, I've got a Heritage Day to go and enjoy. I've got to go browse, to go light and the likes of that, and we've got a bit more content to sort out for you guys for the rest of the day. So please do smash a like on the video on the way out. Please do subscribe to the channel on the road to 100,000 subscribers. The next mini milestone to get to 96,000, 97,000. I reckon we can get to 97,000 by the end of this weekend. That is our goal. So please do be part of that. And if we can get to 97,000 by this weekend, maybe 98, 99,000 by the end of next weekend, maybe we could look at that 100K before November. Else we'll get there in November. But I'd really like to get there at the end of the Rugby Championship. That would be my big goal. And we've got to get to another 1,200 to get to that 97,000 this weekend. Do another 1,200, then that's going to be close past 98,000. And then we're just onto the home straight. And I've already said that we're going to put the plaque there. First ever South African rugby YouTuber. Their plaque's going to go over there. And it's all because of you guys and your support. So please do subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys all tomorrow morning, same